opening our module number 5, and the whole module will be dedicated to responsible and positive parenting issue. So during 3 webinars, we will explore together different tools and means to reduce violent parenting practices, to create positive interactions between parents and children, strengthen family and emotional ties between them. All of which are protective factors that help prevent violence against children. And today's webinar will be presented by Lyubov Smykalo. She is deputy chairman of the board of a Russian NGO called Doctors to Children. She's also senior lecturer at St. Petersburg State University on the Faculty of Psychology. BSA is collaborating with Doctors to Children since 2014 in the frame of 2 different programs on violence against children. And today, Lyubov is going to present to us a very interesting program elaborated and implemented in Russia called Papa School or Daddy School. And the goal of this program is to strengthening positive fatherhood through building parental competences and increasing fathers' role in childcare. As usual, we'll have dedicated time for your questions, so you can note them in the chat box during the presentation or keep them for discussions. So without further delay, I give the floor to Lyubov.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, depending on where you are. Thank you very much, Diana, and thanks to BSA for this opportunity to present our experience and to present our program. This is very important for us, and actually this like positive evaluation of our program, which is really important for our work. We can start. As Diana has said, we developed this program several years ago. Well, actually, probably I will start just a few words about our organization and how this program is related to our other programs. Actually, our organization is an interregional, non-governmental, non-profit organization which works a lot in the area of child protection and provision assistance to families and to children from vulnerable environment. We have one of our main priorities is providing assistance and prevention of violence against children and violence against women, including family violence. So we have several programs under this priority, including provision and rehabilitation services for children, web-based counseling for children. The program aimed to crisis assistance to women victims of violence. Also, we worked a lot and continue to work with professionals who engaged into this area. We run a big program to develop and to improve interagency collaboration between different professionals who react to cases of violence against women. And we work a lot with law enforcement bodies in the area of child-friendly justice. Well, for example, we were the first, we were the organization who, together with our law enforcement bodies, opened child-friendly facility for investigation and for interrogation of children, of victims and victims and witness of violence. It was in 212. So the first specific child-friendly facility was open because of our program. So also we work a lot with other vulnerable children, for instance, families which are targeted by HIV problem. Also, we work with foster families in order to strengthen parental competences, and we run the school for foster families, for future foster families. Also, we work as an interregional resource center and work a lot with professional community, and all our program and practices which we developed, we usually continue to replicate, and we work a lot with regional, with other NGOs in Russia in order to provide training and in order to enable them to replicate our practices. So probably and Papa School, which we start to develop in 2013, is one of such programs which we actually developed from almost zero level to the program which now has full package for replication. Well, why we start to work with this topic? Actually, when we started in 2014, this was a new area for us because we, as many NGOs who work with vulnerable families, we used to work with mothers and with children, and not a lot. We did not do a lot work with fathers actually. However, we understood that this probably is not really right way. And for us, like something which pushed us was awareness and understanding that actually fatherhood is very, and models of fatherhood is very interrelated to gender norms and stereotypes which we have in our society. And working a lot with problem of gender-based violence, we understood very good the connection between traditional gender attitudes and gender stereotypes, and connection of such kind of stereotypes with the problem of gender-based violence. However, we understood also that this topic is also really very connected to the family roles and to parental roles, not also relationship between a man and woman, between partners, but also the relationship between children and model of parental care and model of parental behavior is also really very connected to the gender roles and stereotypes which exist in society on this. What does it mean? Actually, we based on some research which were done by our Russian sociologists on some work of it, but also we found lots of such work in international literature. And if study this, you can see that the traditional masculinity and traditional gender norms, which actually are prevalent in some kind of society, and it's still prevalent in some kind of Russian society. It's really very connected to the way of parenting, when mother is the main caregiving parent and father is father excluded from everyday activities of children. So we can observe the emotional distance between father and children. We can observe exclusion of father from everyday activities of children, and we can observe that father participate only in some kind of discipline of children, including, unfortunately, violent parental practices. So it's like authority and strictness, the main area of parental competence of fathers. And vice versa, if we consider a new concept of gender norms and a new concept of masculinity, actually, I will not tell, I didn't plan to tell some details on what is traditional masculinity, new concept of masculinity, because I believe you participated in the webinars which were about gender-based violence and its interrelation with gender norm and stereotypes. So I hope this is about the same, how about the connection with parental roles. And if we consider the changing concept, the modern concept of masculinity, which is not so strict, we can see that this is really interconnected with other model of parenting. When father is also one of important parent who is also taking care of their children, who also has and a desire to have at least trustful and friendly relationship with their children. The father who has physical and emotional contact with children and who understand a child's problem, interest, emotions, and also one of the main figure for child who can provide emotional support and assistance, not only discipline. And we also can consider that these two ways is connected to parental identity. I will try a little bit few words about these four parental models of fathers which were described by in our literature. So the traditional father, this is the father who is considered as a provider, as somebody whose main role is to provide some income to family and to provide food and basic needs. So he is not the one who should be emotionally involved into family. He is considered as one who should provide some level of money and who should defend the family from outside dangers, outside threats. And if we consider its parental role, the main role is like authority and the one who have a parental power, so who make any decisions. And very close to this model is absent father or detached father. This is the father who are not really engaged into life of children, who do not care too much what is happening with children in emotions and everyday activities, and actually he probably may physically do not communicate with children. It is not only about fathers who do not communicate with children after divorce, but it's about them also, but not only. Well, actually, during some period of time, at least in our culture, we have such, emotionally absent father who is physically inside the family, but emotionally he is not connected to the children, and sometimes even not too much connected to the mother, so to his wife. Both parental models are characterized by irregular contact with children, by non-involvement into everyday care for children, and by the dominance in and power as a main trends in relationship with their children. Well, we understand that these two models of parenting are really connected with high with higher level, high opportunity for violent parental practices. Because the father is the one who should provide discipline and who should interrupt when something is happening. And usually this interruption is connected with some disciplines not really positive. Two other models of fathers, which are really new models and which were described not as a new modern models of fatherhood, is responsible father and new father. They are also close to each other, closed by some characteristic, because both responsible father and new father um, try to build emotional bonds with children. And this emotional bonds and attachment is an important area of for the men, for the fathers. They engaged in childcare. They have some relationship and communication with children. They have some time to play with their children. They're trying to use more positive discipline. They take the responsibility for at least some area of child development, of care for children. However, if we talk about responsible father, this is a father who still have dominance of self-realization, for instance, in professional activity or in some other area, not in family. And their parental role and contribution being considered as important. However, it's still much less if we compare to the ones of mothers. So still mother is the main caregiver. And if we talk about new father parental model and parental behavior, so this father is engaged in child life and connection with children and child care on everyday basis and equally with mothers. So almost equally or even sometimes more than father. Yeah, and for this type of fathers, fatherhood is considered as an important aspect of self-realization of man. So it's not only the social role which is prescribed. This his own identity, and to be father and to be involved father is like a very important value for this kind of father. And for us, this was like a point to start to develop our program because this interrelation and interconnection between these gender roles and model of fatherhood has connection in two ways. From the one way, uh, our attitudes to gender roles, they influence to the model of parenting which we choose. But from the other hand, the model of parenting which we probably develop, they can also influence to the way how we consider gender roles, and we can change this traditional, for instance, attitudes through changing these parental roles and attitudes to fatherhood among men. So we start to develop our work from our program from this point, and we consider this, that one of the main goal of our program was to actually promote gender balance in family relationship. We started this from our sessions. Papa School is a cycle of 8 interactive sessions for father. This was our first step, and we started from this. However, now this was not enough, and additionally to just these classes, we also developed a concept for informational campaign. We also worked a lot with professionals in order to engage them. And also we develop online services for fathers, and our last our new initiative is developing an online school for fathers. So I will tell a little bit about every of this component, but probably uh, more about our Papa School program. So what is Papa School program? Our first program for fathers, which was designed specifically for fathers. This actually is cycle of 8 interactive session, which conducted into face-to-face mode. So like workshops, like training. And it also have some educational materials. Uh, so what was important for us? Actually, working with fathers was not something very new. We have and we had by the time when we start our program, there was lots of program for fathers. However, we made some kind of research. We asked, we looked for the programs, and we understand that almost all of the program are designed for motivated for motivated men, for those who is expectant child, for those who are already ready to be responsible or new father. And also we understand that majority of the program focused on the fathers who is waiting for a child, for baby, and they focused on preparation to childbirth, to preparation to the first days and first years of life. And we understand that there is a gaps which connected with engagement of men who have older children, who probably already lost the contact, emotional contact or physical contact with their children, and almost the absence of program who try to engage men who are not too much motivated to participate in childcare. So this is was not an easy task. However, working a lot with vulnerable group, we understand that this much more important than to try to repeat the programs which exist a lot for motivated parents and for motivated fathers. Well, based on this, we designed a program which cover different age groups of children. This is not only about how to feed a baby or something like this. This about children of preschool age, of older preschool age, of school age children, of adolescent. So we try to cover different age groups of children. Also, we tried to design the program so that it would be interesting for fathers who have low motivation and fathers who are not eager to learn or to be taught really a lot. So we tried to do it very short and very interactive mode in order to engage them. Also, we understand that we will work with group of fathers who have quite a poor parental skills. So we should include some basic exercises and basic level of parenting skills for them. this also was very important. Actually, what was important also for us that many of our clients have some multiple social concerns. Actually, many of those fathers had no positive fatherhood model from their childhood. So one, for instance, of first group which we worked with, we have 3 fathers in one group who told on the first session, well, this is very difficult for me because I don't know my father. I have lost relationship with them in my early childhood, so I have no connection with him. So it's really difficult for me to be father now, and very difficult for me to participate in your program. Actually, however, we by the end of the cycle, we had some changes in their mind, and this was very important for us to understand that this program is actually works for father. We only should have something how we only should know how to motivate. If to see, for instance, we tried, it's a little bit jokey, however, we tried to draw like a portrait of father who is our participant, who is a target group for our program. The father of different age. We worked with young fathers, and also we worked with fathers who has already 4 or 5 children, and all the children has their own children, so it was a father and grandfather at the same time. Also, we worked with father who usually start to speak with us. Oh, I'm so busy. I have to work too much. Actually, it's so difficult for me to participate in any kind of program because I need to work. I need to earn money for my family. So this was one of the common like a common obstacle for the participation. Many of those fathers are not so when you look at the first time they looked skeptical and like those who do not want to talk on or to share something about himself. However, this position was very often changed to second or third session. And the fathers who participated that changed very to the fathers who needs to talk about their parental role. And we understood that this is just the only like stereotypes and probably social norms which made them to be silent about their parental identity and parental role and parental involvement. However, they actually were in very big needs to talk about this and to raise their parental identity. So this is a little bit about our target group, how we watched them for the first time and how we observe them during our group and classes. To talk about a little bit about the structure of the program. The main goal actually is the promotion of family well-being. In other ways, is the prevention of any kind of family vulnerability. And the promotion of family well-being through engagement of fathers, engagement into family life, engagement into caring for children, engagement into householding, etc. So main objectives and actually which is described by the program is promotion of gender balance and promotion of equality within the couple relationship. Uh, Especially when we talk about fathers' participation in caring for children, in raising their children, in building relationship with their children, in being the parent who is supportive uh, for their children. We also understand that this is really interconnected with the parental competence. And one of the important objectives is to strengthen parental competence among fathers and to increase their confidence in positive parenting models in order to decrease, for instance, using of corporal punishment and in order to uh, contribute to rejection of using of corporal punishment and any other forms of violent parental practices. And we understand this is all is about promotion of engaged and responsible fatherhood and movement from traditional father model to new father model. We may consider those four parental models as a continuum, uh, like a traditional father, then absent father, responsible father, and new father. So our Papa School, we believe, contribute to this movement on this continuum to the direction of new father model for the fathers who are participants of the of our program. And also we, as one of very important objective, is the prevention of violence, family violence, violence against women, violence against children inside family. So, as I have said, the key component of the Papa School that this is a cycle of 8 interactive sessions. Each session has specific topic and specific plan how we conduct it. The sessions are focused on issues which are very important for fathers, and I will talk about this a little bit. Also, we developed like additional component of counseling for fathers. This has two tasks. From the one hand, this is like additional component of raising parental competence among fathers. From the other hand, we use this also as a one way of engagement of fathers into our program. So we worked a lot with doctors in children outpatient hospitals in order to motivate them to engage fathers. And also we worked a lot with institution of social protection, which provides social services for vulnerable family. And we worked also with nursery schools. So this was very important for us to provide, first to provide information about our Papa School using these channels. And from the other hand, this was important to change attitudes of professionals who worked with parents. Also as additional instrument, as additional tool, from the one hand to engage fathers into program, from the other hand tool to provide some information and to change general attitudes among general public. Now was our promo website and question and answer services which is implemented on this website, papashkola.ru. And we developed some kind of materials, printed materials, which also um, support engagement and motivation of fathers to participate in the program. And I will also talk a little bit about Trainer's Toolkit, because this program, as I have said, is totally described and can be replicable, with the one, unfortunately, very big limitation that all the materials that we have are in Russian. However, some principles of the program you may use in your everyday practice and work with families. So, 8 interaction sessions for fathers include different topics. For instance, we discuss father's role in child life, and we start to discuss from this. We start to discuss this topic from sometimes not an easy question about the role of father and about their own childhood and their own relationship with their parents, with their fathers. This is not really easy sometimes. However, it has very big emotional, it gives us very big emotional involvement and increase of motivation to participate further. Um, the program, the sessions, it's conducted in very interactive way, and this is a combination of three three types of tools, of instruments, mainly 3 types. So the first very important tool is a self-reflection and some exercises which aimed to increase self-awareness, awareness of the parental identity, of the fatherhood, and they are aimed to self-analysis. So it's about increasing the awareness about myself, about how I see myself as a father, how my child see me as a father. So about awareness. You know, I hope from the research and from the practice that awareness is a very powerful tool for changing. And in order to change behavior, to change some practices, the first step should be awareness. So the second type of instrument which we use is a practical exercises which aimed to building of positive parental skills. So it's from the methodology of classical training, classical workshop, when you conduct any kind of behavioral exercise, when you receive feedback from other participants, and you also understand something, and you try and practice a new model of behavior. So this is about classical training, practical workshop. So, and the third type of instrument which we used during our session with fathers is mini lectures and mini informational blogs. So it's about increasing knowledge. Increase of knowledge and contribution to better understanding of children's needs is a very important aspect. It's information, for instance, about specific stages of child growth and development, specific question about children of different age, what is attachment and why this is important, why adolescents are often so looks like very independent, and why this is age of conflict, etc. So we try to talk on different topics, sometimes not easy, but we also try to increase like a knowledge. So it's a little bit about parental education and education of fathers. So 8 topics, what they are about, and how we do this. I would like to show you very short fragment from our film. This is a film about our program. The film is designed for professionals. It's like promo video about the program. And the session which you will see is not a real one. It's moderated especially for the...
Папа школа – это 8 двухчасовых занятий, которые проводятся в вечернее время. Занятия проходят в интерактивной форме и включают такие виды активности, как дискуссии, ролевые игры и практические упражнения. Каждый участник папа школы получает рабочую тетрадь, в которой представлены материалы по всем темам и предусмотрена возможность выполнения индивидуальных заданий.
А сейчас я хочу попросить вас на этом листе бумаги нарисовать рисунок себя и своего ребенка или своих детей.
Себя в роли отца. Папа школа – это 8 двухчасовых занятий,
Papa School is a 8 2-hour sessions, evening session,
которые проводятся в вечернее время. Занятия проходят в интерактивной форме и включают такие виды активности,
session are interactive and include discussions,
как дискуссии, ролевые игры и практические упражнения.
role-playing and hands-on exercises, practical.
Каждый участник папа школы получает рабочую тетрадь,
Each participant of the Papa School receives a workbook.
в которой представлены материалы по всем темам и
The workbook contains materials covering all the topics of the Papa School,
предусмотрена возможность выполнения индивидуальных заданий.
and they have a special space in order to make the individual exercises.
А сейчас я хочу попросить вас на этом листе бумаги нарисовать рисунок.
I would like to ask you to draw the picture of you and your child or your children.
Себя и своего ребенка или своих детей. Рисуйте так, как получается, как вы можете.
Please draw like you may, like you want to.
А теперь я хочу попросить вас представить свой рисунок от лица ребенка.
Now I would like to ask you to present your drawing as if you are a child. To present it on behalf of your child.
И как будто он рассказывает о вас.
As if he or she is telling about you.
Да, и вот свой рассказ я попрошу вас начать с такой фразы.
I would like to ask you to start your presentation from the following phrase.
Мой папа.
My father.
Мой папа, значит, очень хороший и добрый.
My father is very good and very kind.
Мой папа мой самый лучший друг.
My daddy is my best friend.
Мой папа любит проводить время вместе со мной.
My father likes to spend time together with me.
Как мы увидели,
Actually, when we work with real fathers, we often, as a first exercise, we often have such a kind of positive things, because this is one of the first exercise, and every participant wants to be good and to present himself. However, during our next exercise on this session, we discussion the topic of their relationship with their own fathers in their childhood, and we discussed such a not an easy issue as what did you like, and probably what you did not like so much in the way how your father um, treat you. And also we discussed what kind of things would you like to bring to your fatherhood, to your father, and what kind of things you would not to repeat now when you are father. So, and during this discussion later, we often open difficult issues and something which is very emotionally for them and not easy one. So this is very important that we try to not to engage them from the very first exercise. However, it's very important to begin to speak on not on easy things during the first session. Return to the presentation. I would also, every session that we have, they have a lot of practical exercises. I would also, before the break, I would also like to tell a little bit of how we conduct our session about fathers' rights and responsibilities. Why this is important? This session is dedicated actually to some legislation aspect. We discussed with fathers UN Convention on Childhood Rights. We discussed our national legislation about child protection, about their parental duties, about the way of parenting, the family code, etc. It's not an easy, and it's a lot of information which we would like to talk to the fathers. However, this is very important not to do this in a form of lecture. What we decided to do, how to discuss this actually not an easy topic with this group of parents and with this group of fathers. We decided that any formal information about some citing from legislation, etc., we will use in the form of printed materials, and we included the most important things into our workbook as a small theoretical block. What we are do during this session, we decided to discuss with fathers this topic of parental rights, of children rights, of parental duties, of parental practices through the fairy tales. So what we are doing? We choose several very famous fragments from fairy tales, and we try to discuss on these episodes these topics. For instance, we used such fairy tales like Cinderella. This is a very good story, and we may discuss two different aspects here. From the one way, we may discuss the violation of child rights when we are talking about Cinderella and the way how the stepmother treat her. From the other hand, we may discuss another very important aspect, and sometimes this aspect is very significant for fathers. We discuss the situation when somebody makes barriers for them in their parental rights. Because in these fairy tales, we have a father who actually is a kind father, who is not using voluntary parental practices or something like this. However, he is totally deprived of his parental rights Yes. So this is very interesting fairy tales. We also use an episode from Russian version of Pinocchio, and we use also some folk tales from our Russian folklore. So it's very important that the way how we discuss is very engaging the father. Also, it is very important that this is not considered as something dangerous, because when we work with vulnerable families, they often very anxious about such topics, since they used to work with different kind of agency and bodies who probably told, you're a bad parent, we will punish you. So it's very important to have this kind of safe way of talking on this not very important topic. So I think that I will try to show, if you are able to do this, our workbook, how does it looks like. This is very colorful and interactive workbook, and it has some theoretic blocks, but also it has lots of space for to make exercises, to make notes, to make some conclusions from from each session. So this is a tool which is for father. And using such kind of tools is also one way of motivation of fathers to participate in such session, because it make it interesting. It make them involved into such kind of classes and session. So this is also a very important principle when we are talking about work with low motivated group.
Just before we go back to our subject, I wanted to warmly greet our four colleagues from Goma, Democratic Republic of Congo. We know how difficult is the situation in your region now because and following the eruption of volcano and evacuation. Thank you for being with us today, Bene, Edouard, Joël, and Victor from Govodi and CSF. Please know that all our thoughts are with you, your families, your teams, and children and families you support. Thank you for being with us.
Merci beaucoup pour...
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I really appreciated the presentation. I really think that we have to speak about the role of the father, and also that module connected to positive fatherhood is something very important now. It is also something new, because it is really addressing the very deep causes of violence within families. So we have talked about the role of the father, and family contexts can change from one country to the other. So I would like to ask a question, that is, have you ever had experience according to which the father role is very difficult to play? That is, I would like to know if there are some constraints, some limits to the role of the father in child care. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Probably, I hope I understand it well enough. We face the situation sometimes when such kind of difficulties are connected with difficult relationship between parents. So this is one type of any kind of limitation of the role of father when we have some family conflicts, or when after divorce mother do have any kind of objection and makes any limitations. So this is one aspect of our work when this is just connected with some conflicts or something this way. So another aspect, we should tell about some evidence and some reasonable limitation. For instance, when we talk about a father who make some use any kind of negative parental practices, and this limitation is connected to that one. So this is very different groups. If we talk about this program, Papa School program, I should tell that this is designed as a prevention program. So this program is not designed to work with fathers who is already deprived of their parental rights because of, for instance, violent parental practices. So we should have a first rehabilitation program probably. However, in our practice, we worked with parents who face this limitation not because of the law, not because of some kind of reasons. Just because, for instance, geographical distance, or because of conflicts and the destroyed relationship, or because fathers just don't know how to communicate with his child after divorce. And in this case, we should include additional counseling consultation for such kind of fathers. However, some kind of things is already happening in the group during our sessions, because at least awareness and understanding how to for instance, to talk about the parental rights is very important, and understanding that father and the mother have equal parental rights, and this is something which is supported by the legislation. This is very important for the cases when the father is not when the father do not use any kind of violent parental practices.
So, good evening. I would like to share something, and then I also have a question. So, I want to know if we work with the fathers, so if it is compulsory that trainers are men, or maybe trainers can also be women, that is that these sessions can be animated both by men and women. And then I would like now to share my difficulties. For instance, in Armenia now, it is very difficult to integrate fathers in this family life. So it is very easy with mothers, but it is very difficult with fathers. And in some cases, we really couldn't work with fathers. We really organized some parenthood sessions. So my question now is, how can we involve these fathers that are so detached in these sessions? So thank you very much.
Yes. Well, what is about trainers? Very good question, trainers. When we when we start to design the program, our ideal picture was that all the trainers also should be men. However, the practical and the reality that actually this is impossible sometimes, because the most social workers and psychologists who work in social area and work with vulnerable people, vulnerable families, they are women. So we have very few number of men who are working in this area for a number of reasons. And we came to the model when we have two trainers, and at least one of them should be man. However, the other trainer may be woman, and we realized that this is sometimes even better, works for group dynamic and for some kind of aspects. So we try at least to have one trainer who is male, and another second trainer may be female. We also used a model when we have several trainers for the group. For instance, we have one of our topic is about child health, and we invite doctor to conduct this session. This is not obligatory because we tried to design the program not too much professionally, however, about healthy development, etc. We tried to use one male trainers, and we can have female. Some of our colleagues who implement this program, they do not have options to have men as a trainers, and they also make this program, and they have any positive analysis. So this is ideal, but not the only way to conduct. The trainers can be women also.
Thank you. Thank you.
And another question was about involvement of detached fathers. For me, for us, our practice shows that this is very important to find these fathers, because these fathers need personal work from the very beginning and like personal involvement. For instance, our informational campaign will not engage these fathers, but individual work with families and, for instance, like outreach work with such kind of family can engage them. So we need to use different instruments if we would want to engage such kind of fathers. We should know where they are, we should go to the place where they are, and we should start to speak with them from like more neutral and more topics. We should not try to speak from the very beginning from something which can be painful or considered as danger topic. So this is very important, and probably I would say this is about social work more.
We have more questions now in the chat box. We had a question from Roberto Peru. If the tools used by parents are also available in digital format, and is it possible to have an access to it?
Well, this program, 8 interactive session, we do have this instrument like electronic format, but they are not interactive. So it's like just the pictures which we can see, unfortunately. However, I will talk a little bit later about our online school, which is totally on the web, so it can be used on the web.
Okay. We have another question from Maria del Pilar from Peru too. I will read it in Spanish, so please translate me, and I'm sorry for my accent. ¿Cómo podemos motivar?
Traducirlo.
How can we motivate
motivar a los padres a participar considerando la
fathers to participate, considering and how can we mobilize the memories and emotions of those fathers? Thank you for your question. So the first question, I would start from the last part, because the stereotypes is a key element, because lack of the time actually is just explained reason. However, we understand that many fathers are working, so and that's why we. So this is only about how we organize the sessions. We understand that those fathers will not able to participate 3 times a week. So we make this group once times a week, sometimes 2 times a week, but it's only one time, one evening, and this is evening time when they participate after the work. So now this is really important for them. So the shelter should be flexible for their reality and for their involvement. However, the stereotypes, you are totally right, is a key element because we need to talk about why I need. This is not my business, etc. So, and in order to overcome this, we work a lot of communication with social protection institution who worked with vulnerable families or with families who is often have some such kind of strict stereotypes, and this like small outreach work when we tried to we start our dialogue from the mother. We tried to discuss with her how would this important. Would you probably talk to your husband? We gave them some materials, interesting, some materials about positive fatherhood, and we should find something which is about the man. Why this is important for me, not for children, or not for child. Why this is important for me? And in our informational campaign, we used very positive images of men, of fathers who have such kind of positive like positive effects of the parenting of involved parenting. So this is very important from the on the first step. And the second important thing is the first session, which is crucial. And yes, we, for instance, if we understand that we need to have something emotional in order to motivate them to participate, we used some kind of materials. For instance, we have very short but very emotional film, which is produced by Russian media maker, journalist about the father. This film is really very emotional and touched many people. So we use this film in order to have this emotional involvement into the program. From the other hand, you are right that we should be very accurate in such kind of topics. For instance, when we talk about relationship with their own fathers. Well, this is very important that trainers should understand very good the limitation of these group sessions. And this is not about therapy and psychological rehabilitation or very deep psychological work. We should be very delicate, and we should discuss this in the way So we should not go too much deeply inside into their own emotions and like walk with their emotions about this experience. But what we would like to do to help them to analyze what kind of things I would like to use, and I understand that this was good for me and I want to use it. And what kind of things I probably don't want to replicate from my own childhood. So we tried to go to the very small and very concrete things on behavioral level, not
de ce que vous avez vécu dans votre
and analyze of this experience with the father. Because in this, if we will go too much inside, we have a danger to have not a training workshop sessions, however, some kind of psychotherapy group. Sometimes this is important, and for some man who is very traumatized, probably we can recommend as a first step before going to this Papa school session. So some individual walk or some group walked, which is goes more in therapeutic format, in like a psychological walk, like a work with trauma, etc. And sometimes if we, for instance, during the first interview with father can understand that this father needs this work, we can recommend this first step, like individual work. This is also important. And we should understand that trainers should be prepared for such kind of things and should understand very good the difference and the boundaries between such kind of session, which is mixture of training, workshop, educational session, and self-awareness, and boundaries with psychological sessions group with deep work with emotions, etc.
Oui, c'est moi.
All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. I really appreciated when you said that we have to strengthen fathers' skills so that they are encouraged to assume their responsibilities in the children's education. But my question just concerns this model of a responsible father. I really don't like the word model. Obviously, there are different cases. Maybe we can just talk about active fathers. Otherwise, we just shift from this traditional father to another model, that is the responsible father. And this means that the traditional father was not responsible at all. On the contrary, I have to say that there are many cases in Africa where traditional fathers just were part in the education of their children. And sometimes even the father is more concerned with the boys than with the daughters, with sons and the daughters. But there are things that are specifically taken over by the mothers. But the father's presence as a head of the father really has an impact in the development of all the children. So I have to say that this idea of models should be nuanced. maybe what we can say is that fathers must be more involved in their children's education, and this is due to a new model of society that is evolving today. And today, the mothers too maybe have to work, right? So this is the new society we are living in. So even mothers have less time for their children. So they have limited time for their children. And this means that fathers have to be more present if mothers are less present in their families. So there are changing situations, changing societies. So everything is to be relative. So when we use the term relative, we should just really specify what we mean, because there are different conditions, different situations.
Thank you very much for your comment. Actually, I prefer a term not responsible, engaged father. However, I present the work of that we have in terminology that we have in literature. However, you are totally right that this terminology is also new and is developing right now. And if we will see to the modern researches, we will use more and more engaged fatherhood than responsible fatherhood, because of the reason that you taught. And we totally should understand that changing of these parental roles, as well as changing of traditional view to the gender roles in the society. This is about changing society. These all aspects are interconnected. I totally agree with you. This is what we are trying to talk about. Thank you, Yao.
So I will just say 3 more comments we had in the chat box, and you can continue your presentation. We had a comment from Kinshasa, DRC, from Eme, about the fact that girls learn their role of future mother, and boys do not learn this role. And perhaps we should educate about this very early, boys too, not only girls. Victor comment about this is an interesting subject, and indeed it is necessary to adapt to each environment and country, the methodology. And Julia Cardozo was saying about this is an interesting idea to involve fathers, particularly in the context of a pandemic, while mothers had a lot to do. And she was asking if you know any similar experience in Latin America.
Thank you for your comment. And for me, is education for boys, like to be fathers. This is important aspect. And however, this is really very connected to the model of parenting that boys may observe in their own family. So if when we motivate fathers to be more engaged into child care, into child education, so the boys will also influenced by this model of parenting. So it's like very interconnected topics. Well, and thank you for a very important comment. Yes, this is important to adjust any kind of program for the local context, for the contract target groups. Well, so we should always understand their types, their behavior norms, their environment, etc., the situation. Thank you. Okay, probably I will try to just to say a few words, probably without slides, that we have, so for this program, but unfortunately this is all only in Russian. Probably some Russian-speaking people may use this. I know that Armenia, Georgia. So we have Toolkit for trainers, which describes the whole sessions and the ideology, and also have many methodological recommendations for trainers how to conduct this session. And also we have distant learning course for professionals on the program, so we have the full package. And probably I will resume by talking a little bit about another program which we have developed just in a context of pandemic and in a context of developing different distant programs. Our next step was to focus on adolescent age, because when we start to work, we faced that lots of questions and conflicts and difficulties fathers have with their children who are adolescent teenagers. This was really important for us to understand that there is no specific resource about parenting for adolescents. So, and we decided to continue our Papa school program to this way, to talk more and more about adolescent age, and we developed a whole website, web portal, which is online school for father, which we called Understanding Adolescent. This is totally online school, which just do not have interaction with any kind of training. This is like a number of materials about teenagers, about relationship with teenagers, about bringing the so about their upbringing, different aspects, which is very important for fathers. And this portal is organized like 9 big sections. Each section has like mini educational materials for fathers, and they also in very different and including interactive format. We have some mini lectures, which is up to 10-15 minutes about different aspects. We have some short articles. We have interactive, we called it test, when a questionnaire, when a parent can use the situation, use their way how he will react to this situation, and will know then the advice of professional, of expert, what is the best way to react. So this is a questionnaire not about to know how about himself, however, to like to know what is the best way to do. So if you're interested, you may just look to this website, how is this organized. And such kind of materials is really very much became very popular. We have more than 500 registration for this portal for 2 months only. So we have some different topics about, for instance, using alcohol and what to do, about bullying, about suicide behavior or something like this, about safety, about legislation, about adolescent and conflict with law. So something which is very important for parents. Yes, we, honestly speaking, we do not limit the registration, and we have the registration both by mothers and by fathers. This is not so important for us. However, we designed this online school for fathers. So this was very important for us. Well, I probably will stop my presentation now, and we have some time for question and answers.
So please, you can open your...
Merci beaucoup de l'espace accordé.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Well, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I have to say that I really appreciated your presentation, but I have a minor concern with the respect of a father that who is absent because he have to work. For instance, he have to work in a foreign country, and obviously he is absent from home for very long periods. And for instance, when the child is 12 years old, for instance, well, that child obviously will become closer to all the people who live at home. And then, so when the father, well, is away from home for 5 years, for instance, what is it possible to do for that father? That is, when he comes back home after 5 years, how is it possible for that father to re-establish a good relationship with his children?
Thank you very much for a question, which I understand is very important for many countries, especially for countries with low income. Well, actually, I would like to say a couple of things. First, this is very important to support such kind of fathers in their motivation to restore the relationship. This is the first and very important things. Second one, I would like to say that we know that probably this kind of program cannot answer in full for this need. It can use like additional component, because I believe that another specific programs should be developed for such kind of situation. Because if we talk about father who absent for 5 years, 5 years is a very huge period for childhood, and child is very changing for 5 years. For 5 years, his whole world is became different. For instance, if you talk about 3-year child and 8-year child, so the first probably what is needed is some kind of information for such fathers. What is possible reaction? Yes, this is very important to understand that child have a right for some kind of avoidance, and probably will not eager to build this relationship from the very beginning. That this initiative should come from the adults. We should understand this, and we should motivate, and we should support the fathers. And I would recommend to have a specific program to work with such kind of situation. But another aspect I would also like to mention, especially in modern context, we should also realize that distant communication is one of the way not to lose the relationship totally. This is a very good way to maintain the relationship. Yes, it will be distant relationship, etc. However, this is similarly when we talk with fathers about a limited time. Yes, we discussed before what we should do if father talk, I need to work 23 hours a day, so I don't need time to communicate with my child. We usually discuss that sometimes not only that not only how many time you spend with your child have meaning, but also the quality of this time very important. And we provide such kind of instrument, like for instance 20 minutes with your child or 30 minutes with your child if you're too busy parent, but you always will may find, for instance, 30 minutes a week to spend this time with a child, but please be totally with your child during these 30 minutes. Do not use your phone, do not use TV, just spend this time totally with a child, playing, discussing something which is important for a child. So the quality of this time together is also very important. And I think that this principle we also may use when we're talking about these physically absent fathers, because distant communication is something which is really available now. And we only should think about how to motivate probably, and how to start to talk about fatherhood and the importance of father's role before this father goes somewhere very distant, so that he already was prepared to have this time, for instance 20 minutes every 3 days, but to have this 20 minutes in his shelter, to talk with a child using video camera, using internet connection. This is very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lyubov, for this presentation. Thank you for participations and questions. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time to take more questions, but if you still have some, please do not hesitate to send your questions to BC team, to myself, to Marie-Laure, to Camilla, and then we will redirect your questions to Lyubov. So I'm sure she will answer you. Also, do not hesitate to visit the webpage of Doctors to Children. They have some information in English. In the PowerPoint, you had the link to this specific project, Papa School, so you can also visit this. You had the links for 3 videos, one with English subtitles and 2 others only in Russian, but at least Russian-speaking participants can visit it. I wanted to remind you, Elsa, that today we had a presentation of a more prevention program. So with parents, with fathers, we work with fathers, we have to engage more in the family, but there is no, it's not a situation of a total breakdown, family breakdown. And next week, on June 10 at the same time, 4 p.m. Paris time, we will speak about more about this issue. It will be a presentation of an experience and practices of parenting empowerment in the context of total or partial family breakdown by our colleagues from Democratic Republic of Congo. So I kindly invite you to join us for this session too. So thank you again, Lyubov, if you want to resume the session.
Well, I would like to say thank you, everybody, for the participation and for the interest and for your very sensitive questions for the issue. And I hope that probably we will find a way to change our experience in the topic.
Thank you everybody, and have a nice day, afternoon, evening, night, depends where you are.